Welcome to Coach's Corner. This is Steve Levy. In head men's soccer coach Pete Caringi's third edition, Coach will talk first about the game against Robert Morris over the weekend, where you got your first win, backed up after the VCU 110-minute tie on Thursday. But you had a little bit of time to reflect on the weekend. It was a kind of a crazy weekend with 200 minutes of soccer, lightning delays, all kind of stuff going on. What were your memories? What you kind of take away from the tournament?
Well, I think, looking back on it now and after watching the game tape, we have to play better soccer. And, I was proud of how we played early on when we got the 2 goals. But at the end of the game, we were just kind of hanging on there. And we didn't play a complete game. We didn't play a 90-minute game. I think a lot had to do with the fact that we played 2 games in 3 days. I'm sure they did as well. We were playing a team that was sort of desperate. They had been playing hard and looking for their first win of the year. And more importantly, I think the weather also had an effect on it. We were just literally on the field getting introductions, and when the storm came and the lightning, and that really takes you out of your rhythm. So to go back in the locker room and sort of wait almost an hour and then come back out in the field, I think that had more of an effect on us than it did them.
I guess the good thing is you have your longest break of the year between games. You're never going to have a longer break than you do between Robert Morris and then playing Mt.St.Mary on Friday. What do you kind of do in this interim period in terms of practice, in terms of game planning, in terms of conditioning, to get your guys ready for what's going to be a tough road stretch coming up?
Well, we did actually all of the above. We had a really good chance. Coach Adams, Coach Luisano, and Coach DeBone, we all sat down and watched the game tape. And, we got a chance to really look at it from a different perspective. When you're on the field that night, the emotions are running. You want to win the game. The other team's doing well, but, they're getting their chances late in the game. And you kind of don't really get a chance to sit that back and like we did watching the tape. And this week in practice, we had some really good practices. We kind of went over the mistakes, went over things that we need to improve on. Game planning for our next opponent, Mt.St.Mary, which is going to be an extremely tough game. But also realizing that we had to work on fitness because, these are all important games, but the most important games of the year will be when the American East Conference games come. And that's not to belittle any of the games coming up because we're playing a lot of really tough games. But, as a coach, you kind of look at a young team and say, hey, you know what, here's the mistakes you made. Let's try to correct them. And hopefully that's how you get better.
Good news, bad situation with Petey. 3 goals, all 3 goals this year, Conference Player of the Week. It's wonderful, but I know you before the season you want that scoring spread around. If Petey's scoring all the goals, he's going to be definitely a marked man. It's going to be hard for him. So again, a good news, bad news situation in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, as I told you in the beginning of the year, I expected us to have more than 1 goal scorer. I expected us to have at least 4, and unfortunately, we haven't gotten around to getting these guys untracked. But they're working hard. They're training. Some of them, as we say, they're new to the Division I game, at least 2 of them, and they're making adjustments. We're working on it in practice, but I think when they go out on the field, they just have to be more focused to the little details that's going to get them goals. And right now they're not doing it. So yeah, it's good news that Pete's scoring, and that's great. But we want everyone. We want to be more of a team that has 3 or 4 guys that can score goals and will produce, because then will be a lot more difficult a team to mark.
Let's talk about Mt.St.Mary's on Friday, a local rival that you play nearly every year. You've got a good streak against them going, but I'm sure they have that in mind as well. They've gotten off to a 1-2 start, but a tough game with Towson. They lost in double overtime. Talk about what you know about Mt.St.Mary's, what challenges they'll present.
Well, to be well coached. Rob Ryerson has ties to UMBC and ties to myself. He played for me with the Maryland Bays. Well coached team. They always play well against us. We've had some fortune to play well against them, but I expect a very tough game. 2 years ago we went up there with the team that got to the second round of the NCAA tournament, and they had us 2-0 at halftime. So, you can throw out the records, you can throw out anything that's happened in the past. It's a new year, they have new players, and I know right now that Coach Ryerson will have them ready to play, and hopefully we're up to the challenge.
Coach, we'll finish up off topic a little bit. We talked about this after we went off the air, so to speak, last week, but your Baltimore Orioles You know, you're wearing the orange in deference to them today. The Under Armour orange connection. That's a good thing. You know, in your tenure and everything like that, have you? You know, this is like the why not season of '89. You know, the Yankees coming in this weekend, just an incredible time for Orioles fans, really.
Well, I'm obviously a diehard Oriole fan my whole life, and you know, I'm as excited as anybody. And you know, I think it's an exciting time to be an Oriole fan, and the people here in Baltimore, we should really get behind them. I know we've had a lot of long years with no success, but you know, as long as you stick with your team, and good things are going to happen. And right now, we're going through you know, it's a national story, and from a perspective of a lot of these young players, you know, like my son, you know, he's never seen the Orioles have a winning season. So I know these kids here at UMBC, the local guys, are excited about watching the Orioles have success. And they're going to have, you know, it's still a tough road to go, but, you know, it's just enjoy it, and hopefully they have a great weekend against the Yankees, and, you know, take it one day at a time, as Buck, the coach, has told us, the manager has said, and, you know, you got to give hats off to him because he's done a tremendous job with this team.
Coach, thanks very much. Best of luck to the Retrievers and the Orioles this weekend. This is Steve Levy for Coach's Corner.